One summer, Alex and his friends ventured into the deep woods near Misty Creek for a weekend of camping. After a day filled with hiking and exploring, they settled by the campfire, sharing stories and enjoying the isolation. As darkness enveloped the woods, their laughter echoed into the night, a brief respite from the creeping silence of the forest. Late into the night, after the fire had died down to embers and the group had retreated to their tents, Alex lay awake, listening to the sounds of the forest. Suddenly, a chilling laugh pierced the silence. It was deep and unsettling, unlike anything Alex or his friends had ever heard. Initially, they thought it was one of them playing a joke, but a quick head count revealed everyone was accounted for inside the tent. The laughter grew closer, circling their campsite. Alex's heart raced as he realized there was no accompanying sound of footsteps, an impossibility in the dense underbrush of Misty Creek's woods. The laughter seemed to come from all directions, disorienting and relentless. In a moment of terror-fueled bravery, Alex and his friends decided to confront the source. Armed with nothing but flashlights, they stepped out into the darkness. The laughter stopped abruptly, replaced by an oppressive silence. They scanned the trees, the beams of their flashlights cutting through the night, but found nothing. Suddenly, the laughter resumed, this time right behind them. Whirling around, they saw a figure standing at the edge of the light, its features obscured by shadow. Before they could react, it lunged forward, its laughter turning into a ghastly howl. Panic took over, and the group scattered, running blindly through the woods. The laughter followed them, a constant reminder of their unseen pursuer. By sheer luck, Alex stumbled onto a path leading out to the forest. He didn't stop running until he reached the safety of their parked car, gasping for breath and drenched in sweat. The rest of his friends emerged from the woods moments later, each as terrified as Alex. They drove away from Misty Creek without looking back, the haunting laughter still echoing in their ears. They never found out who or what was behind that terrifying laugh, and none of them dared to return to Misty Creek again. The memory of that night forever etched in their minds as a reminder of the unknown horrors that lurk in the shadows of the woods. At a high school retreat in Shadow Pine, Emily unexpectedly found herself alone when her roommate had to leave due to a family emergency. Isolated in the dense woods, the eerie quiet of the surroundings quickly became her reality. As darkness fell, navigating back to her cabin became a challenge until a shadowy figure appeared and guided her back. After a solitary dinner, she decided to sleep, seeking solace in the solitude that the woods offered. However, the peaceful night was disrupted by the sound of footsteps pacing around her cabin. Initially dismissing it as a prank by her friends, the continuous menacing pacing sparked fear in Emily. Curiosity mixed with apprehension, she called out, only to hear the footsteps hastily retreating into the darkness. Opting for safety, she tried to dismiss the incident, but the footsteps returned, this time more persistent, encircling her cabin ominously. Gathering courage, Emily confronted the source, opening the door to find a tall, shadowy figure with gleaming eyes, signaling her to be silent. Overcome with panic, she fled, screaming for help. Her teachers, alerted by her cries, found no one upon their search, only footsteps leading away from the cabin. The incident left everyone shaken, binding them together in fear. The retreat ended abruptly the next morning, leaving the haunting experience etched in Emily's memory. She vowed never to return to those woods or any woods again. The incident at Shadow Pine transformed Emily's perception of solitude from liberating to terrifying. The mysterious figure and unexplained footsteps highlighted the unpredictability and potential dangers of isolation. The collective fear experienced that night brought the group closer, yet the unresolved mystery lingered, casting a shadow over their retreat. Emily's vow signifies a profound challenge, marking a shift from seeking solitude to avoiding it entirely, a testament to the lasting impact of fear and the unknown. Sarah and her boyfriend, eager for a secluded getaway, ventured to Eagles Gorge for a camping trip. It was their first solo trip without the usual company of friends. Upon arrival, they encountered two unsettling men emerging from the trailhead, who scrutinized them before retreating to their vintage Volkswagen camper van. Despite an uneasy feeling, Sarah pushed her worries aside and they proceeded to their familiar camping spot. Exploring potential sites, Sarah noticed a distant camper but chose a more secluded spot to ensure privacy. However, the tranquility was soon disrupted by the camper, who approached offering firewood for sale. Sarah declined, noting the abundance of free wood in the surrounding forest. The man, claiming to have been camping alone for nearly a month, contradicted himself when questioned about voices Sarah had heard earlier, eventually admitting to the presence of acquaintances elsewhere. The man's story unraveled further as he shared his background. A homeless individual from Pennsylvania, living off the wilderness and occasional sales of firewood. His campsite cluttered with belongings for more than one person, and his erratic stories heightened Sarah's anxiety. Despite helping them start a fire, his presence and direct line of sight to their campsite from his own made Sarah increasingly uncomfortable. As darkness enveloped the gorge, Sarah and her boyfriend heard unsettling noises around the camp, convincing Sarah they were being watched. Decided to leave quietly, they were startled by the man's voice, calling out to them as they hurriedly packed. His plea for them to return only fueled their urgency to escape, fearing potential harm. Sarah's instincts were clear. The situation was dangerous, and the man's inconsistent story suggested he was hiding something. After safely leaving, Sarah reported the encounter to the rangers, relieved to have escaped with nothing more than a lost tarp, but haunted by the thought of what might have happened had they stayed. After finishing college, Jake decided to explore the vast forests of northern Ontario alone. It was a true wilderness adventure, far from civilization, with the closest town hours away by bus. During his week-long journey, Jake encountered only a distant figure in a canoe, a fleeting reminder that he wasn't completely alone in the wilderness. Jake had packed disposable cameras to document his adventure, capturing the serene beauty of the untouched landscape. It was a time before smartphones and digital cameras dominated, making each photo a tangible memory to be developed later. Upon returning home, Jake eagerly developed his photos, expecting a collection of scenic views and solitary selfies. However, as he sifted through the prints, his excitement turned to horror. Among the expected images of towering trees and serene lakes, he found two photos that chilled him to the bone. Pictures of himself sleeping inside his tent. The photos were taken up close, showing Jake unaware and vulnerable in his sleeping bag. The realization that someone had been inside his tent, close enough to take photos while he slept, shattered his sense of safety. Jake was tormented by questions. Who had taken these photos? How had they approached so silently? And most disturbingly, what had stopped them from doing more than just taking pictures? Since that day, Jake has never gone camping again. He lives with the curtains tightly shut and doors locked, haunted by the fear that the unseen photographer might still be watching him. The incident left him with a deep-seated paranoia, a constant reminder that even in solitude, we may not be alone. The mystery of who took the photos and why remains unsolved, a terrifying enigma that overshadows Jake's memories of his wilderness adventure. What would you do if you found yourself in a similar situation as the characters in these stories? Let us know in the comments below. And if you have any scary encounters, share your experiences with us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Fearflix for more videos like this. Thanks for watching and see you at the next one.